Hello, everyone. Thank you for giving us the chance to share our study title, Driving the Future, Examining the Switching Intention to Sustainable Transport, Insight from Electric Vehicle Adoption in Indonesia. This research was done by Sharon Priscilla Wijaya, Indra Adiputra, and me, Natashya Chu. We are excited to present it at the 13th International Conference on Green and Human Information Technology. Urban transportation is a major contributor to air pollution and climate change due to greenhouse gas emission. The widespread use of traditional vehicles exacerbate issues like acid rain, air pollution, and noise pollution, particularly in urban areas. Electric vehicles present a sustainable alternative with a significantly lower environmental impact compared to conventional vehicles. However, their adoption in Indonesia faces challenges, including limited charging infrastructure and high initial costs. Our research aims to explore these factors in depth, focusing on motivators and barriers for EV adoption in Indonesia. By identifying these elements, we hope to provide actionable insight to policymakers and stakeholders. Our study has three primary objectives. The first one, to explore motivators and barriers to EV adoption in Indonesia. The second one, to analyze these factors using the push-pull mooring or PPM framework. And then the last one, to offer actionable recommendation to drive the transition towards sustainable transportation. We employ the PPM framework originally developed in migration studies, which has been adapted to understand behavior change. The first one, push factors, include perceived environmental threats and high fuel costs, which drive individuals away from traditional vehicles. The second one, pull factors, highlighted the appeal of EV, such as government incentive and green policies. And then the third one, mooring factors, represent barriers like limited infrastructure and high costs that hinder the transition. This framework enables us to capture the dynamic interplay between motivators and barriers influencing EV adoption. Research in this field has highlighted several critical factors. The first one, perceived environmental threats. According to protection motivation theory, awareness of environmental risks like air pollution and climate change can drive individuals to adopt sustainable solutions. Second one, environmental attitudes. This encompasses belief, emotion, and intention related to environmental issues. Studies suggest a positive correlation between pro-environmental attitudes and the adoption of green technologies. The third one, government incentive and green transport policies. Financial incentives such as tax breaks and subsidies play a key role in reducing cost barriers, while policies and campaigns raises awareness and build confidence in EV adoption. And then the last one, infrastructure and cost barriers. The availability of charging station alleviates range anxiety but remains limited in Indonesia. Additionally, the high initial cost of EV is a significant deterrent despite long-term savings. In conclusion, these factors collectively influence consumer behavior toward EV adoption. In the next section, Sharon Priscilla Wijaya will elaborate on our research methodology and key findings. Thank you.
Now we are going to discuss about research methodology. In this study, we use a quantitative approach to explore the factors influencing EV adoption. Our research model used structural equation modeling or SEM with smart PLS software to analyze relationships between variables and gain deeper insights. We surveyed 186 respondents, focusing on individuals who drive 5 to 7 times per week to ensure their relevance as frequent transportation users. For data collection was conducted online through social media and email, and for the sample included diverse respondents across age, income, education, and location, ensuring varied perspectives. Overall, this methodology ensures that our findings are both relevant and reflective of key factors influencing EV adoption in Indonesia. Now, we are going to discuss the results. We can see on the Table 2. Table 2 shows that the three variables used in this study are valid because they produce an average variance extracted value greater than 0.05. On the Table 3, we can show that all variables are reliable as they produce a Cronbach's alpha value greater than 0.7. So it can be concluded that the data has passed the validity and the reliability test, and we can proceed to the next analysis. Now we're going to discuss about the hypothesis testing results. We tested 6 hypotheses and here are the findings. For hypothesis H1 and H2, related to perceived environmental threats and environmental attitudes, showed no significant influence on switching intentions as their p-values were above 0.05. For hypothesis H3 and H4, demonstrated significant influence. Green transport policies and government incentives strongly impact the intention to adopt EVs, with p-values well below 0.05. And lastly, for hypothesis H5 and H6, focusing on charging infrastructure and high initial costs, showed no significant influence as their p-values were greater than 0.05. So, in the summary, the pull factors, particularly government incentives and green policies, play a pivotal role in driving EV adoption, while the others have less influence based on the data. The push factors like perceived environmental threats and environmental attitudes, H1 and H2, didn't strongly influence EV adoption in Indonesia. Why? Because many people see issues like air pollution and climate change as distant or unrelated to daily life. And then, because of economic and cultural priorities, like affordability and practicality often come first when buying vehicles. Also, affordable traditional cars make switching less urgent. Pull factors including green transport policies and campaigns and government incentives, H3 and H4, had the biggest impact. Green campaigns, which is promote EVs as eco-friendly and modern, making them more appealing, and also incentives making EVs affordable and accessible. Lastly, mooring factors like charging infrastructure and high initial costs were surprisingly less influential. Why? For charging infrastructure, because with low EV usage, this isn't yet a major concern in Indonesia. And for high initial costs, because government incentives and potential long-term savings help ease this worry. Now for the recommendation. To increase EV adoption in Indonesia, we recommend focusing on 4 key areas. The first one, expand charging infrastructure to reduce range anxiety and make EVs more practical for daily use. Second, provide stronger financial incentives, such as subsidies and tax reductions, to make EVs more affordable. Third, launch public education campaigns to highlight the benefits of EVs and available incentives. This will helping consumers make informed decisions. And lastly, strengthen green transport policies and ensure consistent government support to create a favorable environment for EV adoption. For the conclusions, in summary, this study shows that pull factors like government incentives and green policies are the strongest drivers in EV adoption in Indonesia. However, practical barriers like high costs and limited infrastructure still prevent many from making the switch. To bridge the gap between the willingness and adoption, we need effective policies, improved infrastructure, and better public awareness. Together, these steps can help Indonesia transition to a more sustainable transportation system. That's all for our presentation. Thank you for your attention throughout this session.